When has the hamstring become more important in the AFL than the brain? And you know what I'm talking about. We all know what we're talking about. And we've been educated and we've been taken along for the ride with this whole concussion HIA situation. We're trying to be supportive in the media. I want to say off the top, this is not a crack at the doctors and medicos down at the Geelong Footy Club, because they're handling this to the letter of the law, if you like. It's the law that's faulty in this. This is a HIA protocol. It's called Head Injury Assessment. If I change this to Hamstring Injury Assessment, then Jeremy Cameron goes off the ground and gets assessed and probably doesn't play. We all accept in the footy world that minor hamstring awareness is 3 weeks. Compare that with the way we're dealing with the brain in this situation. So there's a man who falls from, 6 feet, lands on his head. Lands on his head.
And a player who would be one of the best at second efforts. So he knows the game's still to play well.
All of that.
You believe he would normally know the game's still to play and lay prone.
At a time of the game that's at its peak, when the Geelong crowd have been activated, they're coming back from 49 points down, there's chaos going on everywhere. There is chaos going everywhere. He doesn't want to come off, he's a competitor, we know that. We probably would all do the same thing. We expect the doctor to have to go out there and make an assessment in the space of, we counted today, 39 seconds, we'll show you the vision here, and go to Jeremy Cameron and say, right, where are you at? And in the space of 39 seconds, make an assessment on his brain. Now, if he's got a hamstring, he ain't trying to do a hamstring stretch in the middle of the ground while the game's on. So while the game continues on, he has to go out to him and in his professional capacity do the HIA assessment.
Under the pressure of the game.
Under the pressure of the game, the crowd's going crazy. Jeremy don't want to know about it. Jeremy, you watch Jeremy. He sits there and he listens because he has to and that sort of thing. In the end, he just wants to play. If this was a minor nick in the hamstring or a minor hamstring awareness, he's running off the ground at this stage because we don't want to hurt the hamstring any more than it is. We don't want him missing 2 games with a sore hamstring, but the brain, the thing that's going to hold you in good stead for the next 60 years of your life, we'll assess you on the ground. We'll assess you while the game's going on and we'll make this assessment and go, you're right to go back in. He don't want it. Jeremy don't. Look at the doctor. The doctor hadn't finished, right? He hadn't finished his assessment because the game's going on.
Well, you can imagine the conversation Jeremy's saying back to the doctor. And it would have come up, no doubt about it, without knowing.
The AFL have kicked off on this. And this is the doctor saying, right, in that 39 seconds, that was the assessment, right? He stays on. Right or wrong, if you are going to err on the side of caution with anything, err on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off. Give him 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Have a look at this. Adam Saad, this is what I'm being facetious. HIA, let's change it. Hamstring injury assessment. So there he is. Oh, yeah, felt something there. Still running, still jogging. Off the ground. Who goes with him down to do the assessment? The physio and the doctor. So the physio and the doctor take time out to take him down to see if he's got a hamstring that's capable of coming back to playing, yet we want to assess the brain in 39 seconds in the middle of a game.
Is it the known and the unknown?
Come on.
Is it the known and unknown, Gaz? Because we know how long a hammy takes to recover and the time that you need. There's still plenty that we don't know about what's happening upstairs.
I agree with you. So err on the side of caution. Why would you not err on the side of saying, no, Jeremy, I know you want to play, but this is your brain, mate. You've just fallen on your head from 6 feet. Let's get you off. It might be a minute. It might be 2 minutes, but let's just in the cool, hard light of day make the assessment.
You laying the blame at the doctor. So you've already said the players it's hard. And most players in that situation late in games, you can understand what they say to the doc, go away.
Of course.
Probably not so nice in terms of that. But and I don't expect players' behaviour to change too much from that. We're certainly more aware of that.
No.
So are you critical of the doctor? Because I also think it's unfair on the doctor.
He's been ticked off. So and Jon Ralph's going to join us in a moment. He'll tell us exactly that the doctor did what is expected of him from the AFL. That is, he can go onto the ground and do an assessment on the ground. Geez, you're putting a lot of pressure on a doctor.
If that fall had happened in the first couple of weeks that the HIA assessments had to come into vogue, like when we've taken these next steps, he wouldn't have been on the field.
So you think we've relaxed it?
I think this is what happens. things get wound in really tight, and then as you go, they slowly get wound out.
But how can it be relaxed when all we read about every day in our industry is about concussion?
He laid prone and he was stunned there for.
Right, I'll show you one other,
moment.
and I know I'm going to get to Jon Ralph, and he'll give us the foot. I'll show you one other, boys, if we can. By the time we got home Friday night, the final stages of Freo and Sydney are in play. Sydney got the game won, right? This is what happens to the lizard.
Yep.
Cops one on the nose. Now watch this. He gets up, he shakes the nose, and they go, "You're going for HIA." You reckon he wants to go for HIA? Of course he doesn't want to go for HIA. But they're 40 points up, and it doesn't matter. No one makes a big deal. They take him off and take him down to the rooms and do the assessment.
Adam Kingsley is shouting at us through the TV because he had to take Brett Daniels off with 7 minutes to go in a preliminary final when he copped a hit, and he was running around.
On whose advice?
He said that the doctor had said that he has to come off, and the spotter had said that he has to come off.
Adam shouldn't be yelling at us because you're taking him off because he's had an incident in the head which potentially affects his brain.
We haven't found out since whether a SCAT-6 was done and whether in fact he had concussive.
Okay, well let's not worry about him for the moment. Let's go to Ralphie in the newsroom, and he's been chasing and working the phones all day. Ralphie, we're not, as we said on Friday night, we were guessing and surmising. So take us into the picture. Take us into the situation that's expected of that Geelong doctor at that time.
Hello, Gary. That's extraordinary footage of that Geelong doctor doing the HIA out on the ground. But under the AFL's own concussion policy, that is actually what is able to happen. So the AFL's Doctors Association boss in Barry Rigby, who's also the Gold Coast boss, he deals with this on a weekly basis. He says that clubs are allowed to do these HIA assessments on the field unless there's clear concussion symptoms. So those include, of course, losing your balance or staggering, that tonic posturing where players put their hands up to try and almost a reflex motion, and also anything that sees a player get hit and then not defend themselves or try and protect themselves as they fall to the ground. But anything short of that, well, the HIA can occur on the ground. So what was the Cats doctor doing out there? So that was the Maddox test. So that's a series of questions that builds a cognitive picture. Where are we? Who are we playing? Are we winning or are we losing? So from then on, the club doctor can say, you're fine to go, as Jeremy was, or certainly they do that SCAT-6, which is 20 minutes out underneath the ground. So Geelong told me tonight that Cameron never declined to do that HIA out in the field, but as Rigby says, it can be almost impossible to get some players off. So if this is the point of the concussion protocols, this is where they're at, we need to change these policies. Now, the AFL's chief executive in Andrew Dillon today, he said that independent club doctors are not needed. Here's Andrew today over in Adelaide.
Well, what we do have, as I said, is we've got neutral doctors, or we've got doctors that are in the ARC. We've got doctors at the clubs, and I don't think they need to be independent because the doctors at the clubs have got the best interests of the players, and that's what they're employed to do, and that's what they do.
So what is fascinating is that the AFL Doctors Association through Rigby has today told Fox Footy they would like concussion doctors, independent concussion doctors. It's a significant shift in the conversation. He says that it would absolutely take the burden off doctors from that medico-legal perspective. It would need to be done in consultation with a club doctor who also has that picture of their concussion history, how old they are, how prone they are to these kind of things. But Rigby says he has polled multiple club doctors who believe the independent doctor would be a very valuable layer there in that decision-making. And even Justin Longmuir, just on AFL 360, he just said, we have taken players off with concussion. A player cops a similar knock from the opposition side. They stay on. We question it. He is very much in the mind as well to bring in these independent doctors. So over to you, AFL.
Thanks, Ralphie. I spoke to a few people today about this as well, clubs at different clubs, and their concern about an independent doctor is that they don't know their players like we know them. So they might say Jeremy Cameron couldn't count backwards from 10, and the club doctor turns around and says, we can't do it anyway. Yeah. But that's the extreme end of the picture. So that's where that sits. I will move on, but I get back to the point. HIA, head injury assessment. We allow the assessment to take place for 39 seconds in the middle of the ground while the game's going on around for the most important organ in your body. Yet for a hamstring muscle that if you get it wrong might make your golf swing, poor when you're age 65, we take them off. We go down, we do the test, we take our time, we give them 2 weeks, 3 weeks minimum. It's a hamstring, for God's sake. Yeah. Don't take a risk with hamstring.
Well, I think you make a very good point, Gaz, and it's such a grey area, the rule, this HIA on-field assessment. So the AFL with the concussion protocols, they brought in the 12 days to really take away the grey area, didn't they? So we need an in-game black and white rule by the sounds of things. And there's the blood. So I think it's unfair on the team and the affected play if the play's still going on around them. So it should be like the blood rule. I think we've got to that point now. As Justin Longmuir was saying, he reckons he's played against teams that they haven't taken their players off when they should have. So the doctor comes and says, that player's got to come off. it's radioed to the umpire and says, hey, stopping the game until the player exits the field.